installing Office on machines lately?
Yeah.
And I'll say, well, support covers a gambit of issues.
We're live. We are live. We'll give people a couple of minutes to. I should also mention that there's a 7-second delay.
7
I
seconds.
think.
Okay.
It used to be 12, and now it's 7. You remember when I was testing it already?
Yeah. It was enough time for you to get up and.
And so I'll just, we could just talk a little bit, give people a chance to come on into the chat.
Sure.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking to anyone.
But
Which is what we're doing.
I mean, it's recording, right?
It's recording.
So we could take this and
if we want people to see it.
edit it down a little. Yeah.
Which I don't know if you. Yeah, I guess you can.
Yeah.
They have Creator Studio. All right. Well, we'll just begin.
Okay.
All right. So, this game. So, welcome everyone. This is the Getting Started with Office 365 live stream, and today I'm being joined by the Protected Trust Support Manager, Steve Cornell, who I'm sure a lot of you may have talked to on the phone or have opened up support tickets with him in the past. And we thought that we would change up the format of the live stream. So instead of it just me, we could bring in some experts to talk to you more about the subject matter. Not to say that I'm not an expert on the subject matter, just, you know what I'm saying.
You deal with a lot of the implementation and training parts of things like that. I have to deal with
when things don't go well.
Yeah.
When things don't go as planned.
The pesky error messages.
Okay. Right. So we're talking about Office 365, and the difference between Office 365 and your normal Office that you may have purchased in the past is that this is a subscription-based model instead of it being just a one-time you buy it and then you have it until, I don't know, your computer breaks or you lose the CD.
Right.
Right. This is monthly, and that's for a reason. It's because it has a lot to do with the storage of your data. And so you may be just used to it being for, well, this is where I access Word and I print out my documents or my PowerPoint presentations, but it's really a lot more than that. So let's say that your Office got it already and they said, okay, today we're going live with Office 365. Here's your password. The first thing that you're probably going to do is go into the web portal to get started. And let me show you what that looks like. Whoops. Bring it on over to this. Here we go. So in order to get here, you would go to portal.office.com and you would be assigned an email address and a password. And once you do that, this will be the first page you see. And so it actually has improved a lot from what it used to look like.
Yeah, it was difficult to navigate when it first came out. There was a lot of different menus to go to, and there wasn't this nice default page that kind of gave you an array of different places to go. You had to do a lot of searching to get to it, but it's a lot more user friendly now.
Right, exactly. There was a lot of emphasis on this blue icon up here that looks like 9 dots, but it's actually that they refer to it with the nickname as the waffle.
Yeah.
Though I don't think I've heard anyone outside of this office call it that.
We claim that it's a technical term, but it may just be ours.
Right. But anyway, so to navigate, you had to rely a lot on this waffle, and because it would take you away from this web page, this home page, and it would just be where all of your apps are. And you can still utilize the waffle, but I think now the default behavior of the web portal is just to open up in a new window. So you don't have to really go back to the waffle.
Right.
And so the web portal has all of your online apps, or all the apps that you may be used to having on your desktop. They're now online. So some of our clients who were on our hosted Exchange platform, they're already used to knowing that they could get their email through going to portal.us.elephantOutlook.com.
Yeah.
Right, and then they could access their email. But with Office 365, you can access a lot more than just your email. Now you can access your actual documents, right? So you'll notice that there's a Word online, and there's an Excel and PowerPoint and OneNote. And that's used because if you save it, we'll talk about OneDrive a little bit later, but if you save it so that it saves online, how do you...
Yeah, I mean, you're just basically uploading documents to the cloud from a cloud account. So I mean, everything kind of originates and saves within your 365 account, and it comes in handy, especially if you're working remote a lot, or maybe you go somewhere and your laptop dies and you're on somebody else's computer. Well, you don't necessarily have your OneDrive on that computer or Outlook with your account on it, but you can get to all those things from the portal. Open up, Excel, work on a document, save it. It saves there. You can collaborate with people. The web portal is definitely the way to go as an alternative to downloading software.
Right, and I actually just shot a video, which is on this YouTube channel, so check it out afterwards. I think it's the latest one we did, where we destroyed my laptop. We threw it off of our building, and we were able to restore normal work functionality just by installing a new instance of Office, because I saved everything to the cloud. So after you sign into the web portal, once you first get Office 365, the next thing you're probably... Oh, am I out of frame? Thank you. You can tell me. Let me move this mic so I'm not hogging it. Hollywood magic. So you've signed into Office 365, and so the next thing you want to do is install it on your computer. So click this handy install button right here, Install Office Apps, and most of the time you're just going to want to click Office 2016. Right. Have you come across an instance where you want to install the 64-bit?
If you're running a 64-bit operating system, Windows 10 Professional 64-bit, then you can utilize the faster read-write speeds by using a 64-bit software. So I mean, it will tell you if you try to install it if your operating system doesn't meet that. Mm-hmm. So in a technical term, you'd probably want to go with the 64-bit off first, unless you know for sure that you have an OS that's only 32-bit.
Right. So in my case, I have no idea. So I just click the Office 2016 thing, and that should work most of the time.
That will work on every instance of Windows 7, 8, 10, any supported operating system.
Right. They've made the install pretty hard to mess up.
Yeah.
So if you run into a problem, yes, you could always contact the support team, but you should never get to that point if all you're doing is installing it. Because right. if this option doesn't work, then definitely choose the second option, and you'll be fine.
Now we have had some cases where clients have lockdown machines from their admins, where they're only allowed to do certain things, and they're not allowed to actually install anything. So you may come across a case where you go to install Office and you get either a pop-up for an admin password, or you get an error message basically stating that you're denied access. Those are the types of things that usually your IT guys can help out with to get it installed for you. Or if you don't have one, we can definitely help make that happen for you as well.
Right, exactly. So I'll just go ahead and show you. I won't go through the actual install because I already have it installed on my computer, but like this pop-up says, that's exactly what the experience is going to be like. You click yes, you'll go through a little timer thing, not a timer thing, but a progress bar. And once it reaches 100%, I don't even think you have to restart your computer. It just says go ahead and start using Office right now. And so it depends on what your licensing is. So talk to your administrator, your local administrator, and see what license you have, because you may have more apps or you may have less apps than what's appearing in my web portal right now. It all depends on your licensing. But I think we'll go through that in Thursday's webinar. This is just for getting started. Right. So once you have it installed, you're going to want to probably have your email back, right?
Right.
So
it's definitely important.
It's definitely important. So I'll show you. I'll kind of have to hack it a little bit since I already have it installed and went through this process already. But let's say this is my first time signing into Outlook. I think it already has your email address in there, isn't it?
Well, the good thing about having an online account with a subscription versus just downloading Office is you logged into your account to download Office. So when you install Office, it comes logged in with that account already. And so it knows that you have an email address and a password. So in most cases, you can just launch Outlook and it may ask you for a password, or it may just go straight through and just have your account already loaded in. So there's very minimal configuration involved now with all this subscription-based product, because OneDrive and OneNote and Outlook, they're all already logged in with your account, so they kind of share access with one another. So most of the time, you can have your Outlook mailbox just automatically loaded.
Oh, so it won't even ask for password.
Right. Yeah. There's
wow. Okay.
If you're already logged in and you're still logged in, and that's cached between the time that you log into the your portal to actually get the download versus when you launch Outlook, it'll add all of your credentials right into it.
Oh wow, that's great.
Yeah.
That's
but
really good.
If that cache drops, then worst case scenario, you put your password in one time.
Yeah. Right. So I kind of did this off screen. Whoops. Anyway, all I did was open up Outlook, and it had my email address already pre-filled as described by Steve. And again, I didn't have to enter in my password since I already authenticated by going to the website to get the install.
Right.
So now that it is installed, kind of drag this loading screen over here. It'll start syncing my mail, and this is just a dummy account that we recently started using, so there's not a lot of data for it to sync down. But if you've been using your same mailbox for years and you've been using it as a storage device, and you have, I don't know, what's the largest amount of gigs you've seen in a mailbox that the mailbox still worked?
On our hosted Exchange platform, we've seen people with 100 gig mailboxes primary and 200 gig archives, massive mailboxes with just 10, 12, 13 years worth of data. If you're downloading all of that directly to Outlook, I mean you're talking about hours or days for it to all sync down because it's a throttled connection. We've seen in cases where Office or Outlook 2016 rather has helped with that is you have the ability to use a little slider bar to kind of dictate how much mail is actually going to download, right? So by default, I think it's 1 year. So when you add something, a mailbox to Outlook 2016, it automatically downloads a full year of your mail to access instantly. And then anything older than that, when you do a search for it, it's kind of going to the cloud to pull that up and bring that search down to you. But sometimes to make Outlook run faster, people will take that slider and drag it down to 3 months because they don't really actively use those types of things.
And so to get to what he's talking about, is that in the account settings? Okay.
Yep. And then you want to highlight the mailbox and hit change. And you'll notice that slider right there.
Right. Right. So the default's 1 year, and then if you want more of it cached, you drag it to the right.
Yep.
And then if you want more of it to be cloud-based, you'd...
And that will, depending on the size of the mailbox, like I said, if you have an insanely large mailbox, then that slider can actually mean differences in performance because it doesn't have to, cache all of that data at one time.
So really cool. This is Outlook 2016, and if you're running Office. If you're using Office 365 already, then you're familiar with having Outlook 2016. However, for those of you who are running maybe Outlook 2010, I think say would be the oldest one.
We still have 2007.
Do you really?
Yeah, we still get a lot of calls from people using Outlook 2007, which, if you didn't know, is officially unsupported from Microsoft. I think as of 4 or 5 months ago, maybe. Along with XP being non-supported at all as well.
Do you still come across XP machines?
We had an XP machine yesterday. They were wanting to install our proprietary encryption add-in, and it was disappearing. And with very limited support, we basically can uninstall and reinstall and see if that fixes the problem. And if not, it's Microsoft doesn't even push updates for that anymore.
Oh, but this wasn't an Exchange customer.
No, it wasn't an Exchange customer, but they were using Windows XP with Outlook 2003. So it's definitely still out there, but the vulnerabilities and the security updates that don't come in on those unsupported platforms anymore, it's in today's day and age with all of the security breaches and things like that, just get on the newest software, get on a subscription base, and just stay up to date. That's right. That's the way to go.
So I probably shouldn't say it in this webinar, but I'm going to anyway because so everyone's familiar with Office 365, but Microsoft has this new thing called Microsoft 365, which does the security updates automatically on your machine in a subscription-based way. So no more having to do it on your own or wait for scheduled updates by your IT department. You can get on a certain group that allows you to get the security updates as soon as they come out, or maybe wait a little bit longer, or be like the last of them to get those security updates. So that's a new product from Microsoft called Microsoft 365.
I mean, as long as you follow the minimum requirements for the operating system that you have, any of the Microsoft products should be able to keep up with it. And I think Windows 7 is 4 gigs of RAM with a decent a quad core processor or something along those lines, or even dual core. But Windows 10 is a little more resource heavy, so a lot of the default laptops and desktops that have Windows 10 on them come with something along the lines of 8 and 16 gigs of RAM with really decent processors. So
right. So it kind of looks self-explanatory, right? Here's your inbox. I think I already turned this off in another thing. But when you first open up Outlook 2016, the default view is to have something called focused inbox on. And
we have not had a lot of praise about that.
Right. I think I'm one of the few people who actually enjoys having focused inbox turned on. So it is something that you can turn off easily. It's just a view. So don't think that something major has happened to your computer if you turn it on and all of a sudden you see two different views here, one called focus, one called other. And the purpose of focused inbox is to prioritize your inbox. So it kind of has an AI that sorts through what it thinks is important to your workday and things that it thinks are secondary to your workday. So because I'm using a brand new mailbox, this may not be the best example, but in my other mailbox, I have things like newsletters go to my other mailbox, notifications from the Teams application that goes into there. And if you use this view, you can easily make things that the AI throws into other. You can choose an option to have it go to focused inbox, either by just one instance or by... Oh, people are like having a conversation right outdoors. All right, so this... Now,
I will tell you that learns as well. So
right,
as you get an email that is not spam that you immediately delete, you kind of read through it real quick and you immediately delete it. It will read that as maybe not as important as something that you leave open for a while or something that you forward to somebody else. It has the ability to learn, and in some cases, if you're used to being able to organize everything yourself, kind of manually, it can seem like mail's missing. Like, I just had this message and now it's gone, and it's like, well, you have to check the other tab, and you either get used to it or you just turn it off.
Right. So I'll show you an example of messages that from myself to James Bond. If I deem that these aren't really important, I can always move these messages to other. So once I do that, it'll say, are you sure that you want all these messages to go to the other tab? And you'll click yes. And vice versa for everything else. And it'll start doing that if I send it. I don't know if I should waste my time with an example of it. Whatever. And then again, if you want vice versa, always move to focus or just move one instance to focus, you can do that too. So I'm going to move it back because I'm important.
I was reading the comment that just showed up when we were referring to the 64-bit operating system. It brought up a good point. You'd want to use the 64-bit versions if you're dealing with larger databases and things like that, because they handle 64-bit handles the larger databases a little bit better than anything else. Plus, there's the memory cap. If you're buying a computer, it's a little off topic, but if you're buying a computer that's 32-bit, you're only limited to so much memory that you can max it out at. 64-bit, it goes as high as the motherboard will support. So, of course, the better the resources, the better your Office products will run. If you're using Access, if you're using Excel, especially Excel. Advanced users using Excel have crazy formulas and a ton of things in there. And if you have a 64-bit operating system, you'll likely not skip a beat doing work.
Right. So speaking of chat, please feel free to type in any questions you have at this point. Type it in the chat or hold on to it until the end. Just don't keep it to yourself. If you have a question, and let us answer it, so that way anyone else who's watching who has the same question, we can answer it as well. Right. So back to focused inbox. Man, they must hate us for jumping around like this. Anyway, to turn it off, it's just go to your view tab and uncheck the box for focused inbox, and it'll change it to a single inbox again. Right. So that's the first major difference you'll know about that you'll see in Office 2016. The second thing that you may notice is that there, beneath your inbox and all of its folders, you'll see another group of, you may see a lot of these, another group of folders called groups. And do you get a lot of questions about groups?
We haven't had any questions about groups yet.
Oh, really? Maybe people don't know that it's there.
I don't think so. Well, Microsoft kind of has taken a change in terminology, over the last few years. When you go into the portal and you're an administrator in some of these cases, and you want to set up distribution lists, they used to just be called DLs, but then in the portal now they're called groups. Mm-hmm. But then this is sort of a different take on groups. It's not necessarily a DL. It's more of an interactive. Collaboration type thing.
Yeah, it's a collaboration tool, and I go into it in more detail on Thursday's webinar of all the things that groups can offer. But for those who just want to know what it is, to kind of, I don't know, think of it better. There's got to be a better way to say it.
Dive into it. For sure.
If they had to explain it to someone else, what you would say is groups is it's like a DL. It accepts messages it accepts a message and then will disperse it to everyone who's a member of the group. But it also has file storage capabilities with it. So normally with a normal DL, everyone gets the message and then everyone stores it their own way. Right. And a lot of people, I don't know how many times I was in support and people would always say, everyone else got this message and I never got it. Yeah. And so this kind of eliminates that, because when you send a message to a DL, all the members get to, once it's in their inbox, can change where it goes and can say that they never got it, and please send that attachment again. And then all of a sudden the same attachments keep flowing back and forth.
Yeah, and you have to understand that every time that gets sent, it's another copy of that same thing somewhere else.
Right.
So even if it's an on-prem Exchange server or you're storing those things locally, mm-hmm. if you've saved an item and forwarded it to somebody else and then they got it back and you keep forwarding things, that's filling up your mailbox with that exact same attachment multiple times.
Right.
And so, having something like groups where to me it sounds like an enhanced DL and sort of a little FTP type thing.
Right. So yeah, thank you. We have another video, by the way, that goes into more the FTP file transfer protocol capabilities of a group, because it allows external people to access that same file share, not just your internal company. So please do check out our YouTube channel for that video. I think it's just called Groups and Working with External Users. But anyway, so any message that goes here, it'll show up either in my inbox, or you can change it to have messages always show up in your group. But with the file repository, it sets up a SharePoint site. And so if you click the little file share thing there.
So for each group, it's essentially setting up a My Site.
Yeah. And so I recently created this one and it's still setting up. It usually takes about an hour for that to complete setup, each group that you create. But yeah, once I do that, all the members here, so there's 4 members of this group. So one message goes here, all 4 of us get it. If we want a file that we'll be using a lot, we'll just put it into the file share.
So if you guys are working on a particular project together that you don't normally collaborate with these 4 members, you drop your material in there and you work on it, and when you're done, you can take it out and save it in its permanent places.
Right. Well, the whole point kind of what you touched on was to stop emailing documents back and forth, because Outlook, it's great for sending messages, but it's not really a good tool for organizing your mail.
There's much better tools that Microsoft has for organizing your data.
Right, and so that's why people have these 50 to 100 gigabyte mailboxes. Not because, maybe because they've been working there for 20 years, but also because they're emailing the same documents back and forth, and they're just multiplying the size of their mailbox each time they do that. So Office 365 has come out with ways to eliminate the emailing back and forth and to just share the file.
Yeah. Instead of emailing something, you're basically just giving them a notification that something has been saved.
Right.
You created something and you're sharing it with people, but you're not actually sharing the whole document with somebody. You're just sending them a notification, letting them know here's where this is. You can come look at it or work on it with me at the same time, and we can save things.
Mm-hmm.
So.
So let me kind of show everyone what we're talking about. If I open up Office, if I open up a Word document, I could save it to my PC like I normally would, right? How else would you save it, right?
Right.
Everything on your work computer gets saved to your work computer, and then when you're not at work, too bad.
Yep.
You can never. You have to wait until you go back to work to access that file. However, with a new app called OneDrive for Business, you can save that document to the cloud, and you can access that document anywhere. And when I say anywhere, I mean you don't even have to use a different instance of Outlook, or not Outlook, of Office 2016 install. You could just go to the website to access it.
Right.
Or even on your mobile devices. That as long as it's saved in OneDrive, you can access it anywhere.
And even you don't even necessarily need an internet connection to open up these documents. I mean, you have the ability to take a document and download it for offline use, whether you're on a tablet, an iOS device, or wherever you can get the app. You can download it. Say you're going to be on a plane for a few hours and you want to download something because you're not going to have internet on the plane. It's an old plane. Mm-hmm. You download that. You have no internet. You're working on the document. As soon as you get internet, it will take those changes that you made and upload it directly into your OneDrive, and everything's back to the way it was instead of wasting, the plane trip. I don't know, sleeping. I mean,
is that really wasting the plane trip though? I don't know.
Bosses always want you to work. So.
I don't know. I can never sleep on planes. But anyway, that's besides the point. So anyway, here's my important document. Important, please see. So normally what you would do is save this document to your computer, and then you would go to Outlook and you would attach this file and you would send it and do the things that we're trying to stop you from doing.
Right. I mean, look at it on the recipient side too, because if you sent that to me before all of this, I would get it. I'd have to download it. I'd have to make changes to it, save it to my computer, and then open up Outlook, reply to your email, attach it again, and say, "Here's the things that I've done to this document to change it, for the better, or what I feel is the better."
Right.
And that entire process, I mean, it takes forever. I mean, it used to take forever.
Right. So now instead, if I save this into my OneDrive, which is just cloud storage, basically. I'll just save it into the SGoodman one. Hi. I'm not good at naming documents. All right, so we save it to our OneDrive, and then we want to share the document instead of emailing the actual file. Right.
You can share it with me. I can check for it on the app.
Okay. So I'll share it with Steve Cornell, and it comes with a whole bunch of options that I want. So either people in my organization can see this, or people with existing access, or specific people. If you want to send this to external people, check specific people. Otherwise, they won't be able to. It'll say access denied whenever they want to check it. But I can also set whether or not I want Steve to modify the document. So if I don't want him to collaborate, I just want him to see the document, I would uncheck the box for allow editing. However, this one isn't, it doesn't matter if you change this one, Steve. All right. So I'll send it. And what Steve will get, he still will get an email letting him know that he now has a document to review, but it is essentially a link to the document in the cloud. So it will, if you're checking it in your web browser, you see it, not in your web browser. Keep jumping ahead of myself.
Yeah.
If you check it in Outlook, what am I trying to say? I lost my train of thought.
Well, if you have the notification that comes to you in any mail client, If it's on, through your Outlook and you click on the link, it will open it up in Word. If you have the licensing capability, it can ask you if you want to open it up in Word online. Then it'll open up in a web browser. If you have the notification come to your mobile device, like I am right now, you have the ability to open it up and it'll ask you, he shared a Word document with me. So it would be, hey, do you want to open up this document in Word? And if you already have the Word app on your mobile device, it will automatically open it up for you. Mm-hmm. If you don't already have it, it'll take you to whatever app store that you're part of, whether it's Google or the Apple App Store, and it will download the Word, Excel, OneNote, whatever app that document was originated in, and it'll allow you to open it up right from your phone.
Right.
So I know I can't show anybody here
you can
what's
show
going on right here, but I will show you that the email came in from here. I don't know if that's going to show up right, but
yeah, it'll show.
So the little icon right there, when you open it, it takes me right to Word, and since I haven't used it on here before, it asks me to get started, and basically you're all set. So it is currently opening up high, and there's the document.
There it is.
So being able to edit it now, I can jump in here and I can start editing it. And as I'm editing it, I don't know if it'll show you over here.
I'm in autosave mode, so
okay.
It should. Yeah, there. See, it shows your editing.
Yeah, so as you can see up in the top there, it shows that I'm editing it, and I'm editing it directly from my mobile device here.
Right, so we can work on the document at the same time. We don't have to trade the doc. Here's my small edit. So go see if this meets.
And I mean, that entire process, without explaining it, takes 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. Where you and I are now in a document, collaborating it together, taking up less space, wasting, obviously less time, and you're just getting things done a lot faster.
Right. Their whole goal is to increase your productivity.
Right.
So part of Office 365 is increasing your productivity. The other part is increasing your security. And you are staying secure because I can revoke his access to this document at any time. Normally, when you email a document, that person now has a hard copy of that document, right? But if I choose to, I can say, I don't want him to see this document anymore. Right. And so the next time he goes on his device to look at the document, it'll say access denied.
Right.
So that's pretty cool too. So while we're on the topic of mobile devices, you already know that you can get your email on your phone, right? That technology has been around for years.
Sure.
And I think with Office 365, it really allows you to access not only your email on your mobile device, but all your data, right?
Right.
And all the collaboration features still exist on that mobile device. And I'm not even in frame.
It's just me. I'm here.
Talking to yourself.
That's right.
So not just your email, but all your data. So Word, PowerPoint, Excel, all those apps are, well, really any data. As long as you install the OneDrive application, you can have access to your PDFs as well. So not even Microsoft product.
It'd be any files. Anything that OneDrive will let you store in OneDrive, you can pull up on a mobile device. Now, whether you can actually open that up or not is dependent on, obviously, the mobile device you're on. So can't open up certain things. But
one question you may have is, well, does that mean I have to be in the actual document in order to send the message, since I'm not actually emailing the document anymore? No. So if you store it in OneDrive and you want to attach a file, it'll give you two options. It'll say, well, do you want to, of course, the first option is the way we want you to do it, which is to share the link to the document, which is what we just did, what we showed on his mobile device. But you can also attach it as you normally would. So let's say you want to live in the past and you're dead set on your ways. You want to attach it as a copy like you normally would, and no one's going to change your mind about it. Well, okay, fine. That feature is still there, still exists. So you can keep on doing that. But we really recommend that you do it this new way, just because of the advanced productivity capabilities and the advanced security.
You notice it actually looks the same too. It is an attachment, but it's not the attachment. It's a pathway to get to the file, securely as well. So if you think about it in that aspect, this is being sent to a particular person with a notification. It's not the actual data sitting inside of this document. I mean, if you have anything in there that's confidential and you're not sending it via some sort of encrypted method, that entire document is sitting in an email. So, sending the link is obviously way more secure than having the actual document sitting in Outlook as well.
Yeah, very good point. So those are the three major new things in Outlook. Anything new that I missed, Steve? Or do you think those are...
anybody used to 2013 or 2016, the focused inbox is probably the only thing that's going to jump out at you immediately because that's kind of right in your inbox. But other than that, they have integrations to, if you have Skype, you can set up Skype meetings from there now. If you're utilizing Teams, you can do Teams meetings, you can do groups. There's all sorts of cool integrations that Outlook is doing with the newer products that are coming out with 365 right now. But you do have to be on 2016 to utilize most of that stuff. If you're on an old version of 2007, 2003, 2010, definitely get in touch with us to sign up for 365.
Right, and you actually had a special support case, let's say, because a friend of the office came by and their Outlook was running tremendously slow, right. And this was something that you've seen a lot of because of the current project that you're working on.
So what it ended up being with his is a long time ago when Outlook 2016 first came out, Windows or Microsoft brought that out in a preview. So it was like a beta, and there was a particular version that if you went out and downloaded it and you used it, you could use 2016 before everybody else, like before it was generally released. But with a beta program, like any other beta program, there's always bugs in it. Mm-hmm. So what happens with those beta programs, they don't update. They don't, this particular build only gets to a certain point and then they release it to the general public. Mm-hmm. Well, that general public release is this brand new thing that's not anything, really related to what you had. So the first thing that he had was a beta version of it that was only updated to a certain point. The second problem was he wasn't signed into his Office account. Mm-hmm. So that's another big thing is when you download Office from your portal, what we were talking about before is how Outlook automatically added your account because it knew who you were. In his particular case, he wasn't signed into it at all. So if you go to your file over there, if you want to click back, yeah, there you go. So file up at the top, Office account. So if you notice where all of your information on that left side there, you're signed in and it shows all of your services that's connected. Well, he didn't have any of that. It wasn't signed in at all. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't getting any updates. Even if he was on a general release build, he wouldn't have any updates because he's not signed in. Mm-hmm. So he signed into his account. We were able to navigate to the portal where it did say, hey, you're on an old version, and it actually did download a new version for him. It didn't update it. It downloaded a new one and basically overwrote the old one that he had. Once that took place, everything ran fine. So, that doesn't happen too often as long as you're downloading it the right way. You're going through the portal, you're downloading it with your subscription. Everything should go great.
Yeah, excellent point. So I guess the moral of the story is check right now if you're using Office 2016 and you're on Office 365 to make sure that you are signed in and that you are receiving all the updates that are getting pushed out.
Yeah, and right there you see Office updates. You could click on that and it says check for updates or update now. And, if there is an update out there, it will find it. If not, you're up to date. So it should do that automatically for you, but, there are always cases, especially in technology. There are always exceptions. So.
Yeah, what I actually like about the updates from 365 is that they tell you what was actually updated. Right. Like, oh, we put this new feature in, yeah, and here's an article about how that works.
It's helpful. Instead of just saying here, KB 3823 was installed, and you're like, okay.
Right.
Great.
Exactly. Yeah. So we talked about OneDrive a little bit, but we should talk about it a little bit more since this is in the video we shot last week. My weeks are blurring together, but in the video hold on, let me change.
So much content.
There's so much content being produced.
There's a lot to talk
about. In the video that we threw the computer off of the building.
That was a good one.
Right.
It was entertaining.
on this YouTube channel. Check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Right, so we backed all my files and folders, and everything important to me was being saved in OneDrive. So all I had to do was install Office on a new computer, and all my stuff was there, right? So to set up OneDrive, and it comes in your install when you first click the install button. When you signed into the portal, the first thing we did, it will ask you, where do you want OneDrive to be set up? I don't know if I can recreate that here.
You want to click back over to the, so I can see what you're doing.
Oh, right. Thank you.
There you go.
I think if I just add an account, it'll do it. So right, this will automatically be filled in. All you have to do is sign into OneDrive.
Now, while he's doing that, I'll let you guys know, having OneDrive store your files is sort of the first layer of its dependability. Here, we take it a step further than that, and instead of just having files that we save or get from other people into OneDrive, we actually map our pertinent folders that we use on our computers directly to OneDrive. So like your desktop folder, your My Documents folder, your videos, your pictures, music, things like that, you can create those folders named the same way in your OneDrive and then map those together. So anything that you save on your desktop isn't really necessarily just on your desktop. It's being backed up to OneDrive for you.
And how to do that is located on our university, which is it's more than just a knowledge base. It shows you, not just used to resolve issues. It like goes into details about why you should use these things and etc. So we have an article about that, and I actually found a video. Remember when I thought I made a video for it? I do have a video for it, but I need to put that on YouTube.
It's saved a lot of us out there. I mean, we've had computers go bad where I had to send one to Dell, and my laptop that I have here, I had to send it back to Dell. They sent it back to me completely wiped, nothing on it. I sign in to my portal, install Office, sign into Office, and OneDrive just populates all my data. All my files on my desktop showed up. Everything that was on my Documents showed up. And it was like I never lost the laptop to begin with. It was great.
Right. So what this is asking is, where do you want OneDrive to be located? So just like as you save things on your PC, I have so many subfolders. So normally this is what you see, this PC section, and you have your desktop, your downloads, and your documents, wherever you want to store things. Mm-hmm. It'll create another instance of this PC, only it's called OneDrive, right? And then you can create your subfolders, and you can treat it as you normally would.
Sure.
The operations remain the same. All this section is saying is, where do you want that folder to be in order for it to be saved in the cloud? So usually I just choose the default, since it's sticking it in Windows File Explorer. So I'll click Next. And then the next thing it's going to ask me is, what files do I want to sync?
Yep.
Well, first it's going to give me this introduction, blah, blah, blah. This time it didn't. Maybe because it's a new account.
Well,
there's nothing in it.
There's nothing in it.
There's
so
nothing in it.
If you, like we're in my instance, when I first opened up OneDrive and it asked me those questions, it said, which folders do you want to sync?
Right.
And it gave me a list of my Documents folder, my desktop folder, my my pictures, my videos. It gave me a list of all those with checkboxes next to them. So I basically just left it at default, which is all checked. And I hit go, and it created that sync for me again, and everything came right back down. So.
Right. So if we haven't hammered home what OneDrive is, let me show you this short example where I'll go to my desktop and see what I have. Here's a quick start guide. I'll put this here. So instead of saving it to my PC, I'm saving it in OneDrive in the attachments folder. So if I went home and I said, shoot, I really want that document, and I have no way of getting to that document unless I have to go back to work, right? Or you would email it to yourself, which we don't want people doing, right? Yeah. So anyway, I'll go to OneDrive. Now when I go to attachments, there it is. there was that pause, and I was like, "Oh man, it didn't put it."
Yeah,
in
I
there.
mean, the joke is that sometimes you have to give technology a moment because it has to go to space, and even though that's a ridiculous theory, it always makes everybody laugh.
Didn't Louis C.K. say that?
I can't. Yeah, I mean, Louis C.K. said that, and it makes us laugh because in most of these cases, obviously, it doesn't. But it's technology. You got to give it a second.
You got to give it a second, right? So I don't have to just sign into the portal to get it. So if I had a separate install on my home computer
On a phone,
or on your phone, then that same file will appear in that folder.
Anywhere you have OneDrive or have access to OneDrive, iPad, tablets, Surfaces, any of those things, if you have OneDrive, it will be in OneDrive. So
really powerful tool that I don't think gets enough praise, really.
No.
Well, and actually, it's been so Office 365 has updated a lot since when we first started using it, and it used to have a lot of bugs. Yeah. And we would get complaints about OneDrive.
Well, I think it was because they didn't make their mind up about their versions, right? You had OneDrive Personal, you had OneDrive for Business, then you just had regular OneDrive. Mm-hmm. And people would call in constantly and ask us, well, what's the difference? And it's really hard to answer that question when they just came out with that new verbiage a week ago. Mm-hmm. It's like, and we weren't getting updates about it, so it's kind of, it's great. It's kind of a good segue into the emails that you will get when you sign up for it. As I know we get them. I think it's once a month or maybe a couple times a month. You get something from Office 365 that says, here are all the things that we've worked on since the last time we sent you this letter. We've added a new, impersonation integration into advanced threat protection. We've, put a new update for Teams. We've done this new, file on demand thing for OneDrive. It tells you exactly what it is and then says, if you want to learn more about it, click here. Before that, they didn't really do that. You just all of a sudden saw something new show up on your computer and they're like, what is this and what does it do? Mm-hmm. And then people would call us. And, of course, if we didn't get that information yet either, it's a little confusing on what it is, but they've cleaned all that up. It's really easy to follow and it's there.
So how many support cases do you get about OneDrive now?
Oh, I would have to say probably none.
Probably none.
It's been
optimal.
It's been a long time since we got something from there, and it used to just be strictly confusion.
Well, right, and like the sync delay.
Yes.
Like I remember people would say, I put it in there 15 minutes ago, and it's still not there. But now it it was instant.
Yep.
And you also brought up did you bring up a good point?
A lot of good points.
Let me think. Yes, you did. You talked about files on demand. So I shoot a lot of videos for our YouTube channel and a lot of unused footage, which normally you would have to store on an external hard drive or something like that because it takes up so much space, which can be a pain because then you got to lug that thing around with you.
Sure.
But what if you always had access to it, right? Well, then you would put those video files in OneDrive, which I have done. But let me try to find it. iPhone videos. So here's a bunch of videos we shot. And so you'll notice with some of these videos, we have little cloud icons next to the file name. Actually, you would if I showed my desktop. There we go. You see these little icons. So here's a cloud icon. Here's a checkbox inside of a white circle. And I think those are the only two I have. But the cloud icon means that even though this looks like it's on my computer, the data is actually being stored exclusively in OneDrive.
And that's a fairly new feature, right?
Right, that's a fairly new feature. And to turn that on, you'll have to go right-click on your blue OneDrive icon.
We're in the way.
What? Oh, are we in the way? Okay. We are in the way.
Listen, we promise. It's right around this area. Maybe over here.
Hold on. I can change our size. Give me a second. Let's change the position. Here,
while he's doing
there
that.
We go. There we go.
It's relatively new, but the old behavior was that it would make a copy. Right, so you'd always have an offline copy and an online copy, and they would sync changes with each other. Well, nowadays, you want very fast hard drives, so people end up getting solid-state hard drives, which are notoriously lower in actual disk space, so that disk space becomes kind of a coveted real estate. So you don't want to take up a bunch of your solid state drive with iPhone videos, and like you said, the alternative is to save it on something else that you have to carry around. So in this particular case, you can cut that tie and just say move all of this stuff into the cloud and only give me thumbnails of what I need when I need it. And so that does free up a ton of space depending on how much you have stored in OneDrive on your machines.
Right. So to turn on files on demand, that feature that frees up all that space when you want it to, right click on that cloud and go to settings, and then under the second settings tab, you'll
move that over.
They can see this. They can't see this. Oh, we keep getting in the way.
That's terrible.
Darn it, Steve. Here we go.
There it is.
There it is. All right, so let me show you again. So right click on your cloud, click settings, click the settings tab, and it's already checked now, but make sure that the box for files on demand is checked. And what that will do is just enable the feature, but if you actually want to free up space on your computer, find the file that you think is taking up a lot of space, right click on it, and click free up space. And then once I do that, green checkbox will turn white. And so the cloud...
Which indicates it's in the cloud, right?
Right, which indicates it's in the cloud. So all these files are already in the cloud. If I want to download it, I can just double click on it. And instead of opening, it'll download it and then open. So this is a pretty big file.
Yeah. And of course, these speeds always vary on your internet connection too. So you may be faster than us, you may be slower than us. So
that's cool. It gives you a calculator time. I did not know that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't know that. It's pretty cool. Boy, did I choose the worst file to use. 78%.
It's actually going pretty quick.
Come on. Oh, our stream kind of messed up. All right, I don't want the file to play. But so now that checkbox turned into green. And if I want it to stay on my computer all the time, I'll click always keep on this device.
Oh, so you can do it per file.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And so now we have a third icon, which is a checkbox in a green circle instead of a white circle.
So now does that mean that it's strictly, it's being synced now, right? So if that was a Word document, it would be saved taking up hard drive space on your computer, but it's also in the cloud as well, so it's backed up.
Exactly. So that's files on demand. That should be available for everyone by now.
As long as you're on the right...
Well, yeah, you had to have the fall creators up
Windows 10.
for Windows 10,
right.
But I think everyone...
I would have to imagine since November, hopefully everyone has the Windows 10 up.
Well, yeah, so...
You never know.
If you
if you don't have that option, then chances are you're not on the newest version of Windows 10.
Exactly.
Yeah. Stay up to date.
So we got 7 minutes of this live stream left. Let's see.
What do you want to talk about?
Oh, yeah. How's your day going?
It's
great. It's good. Skype for Business. That's kind of a tricky one because it's being merged into, I don't know if we should call it a new application because it's been out for a while, but Skype will become Teams eventually.
It will.
Right. So if you're not familiar with Skype, and I imagine a lot of you are familiar with Skype already. But
it used to be called Link.
And it used to be called, and before that it was called something else, like communication.
I don't think I was around for that.
You weren't around for that?
I don't know.
Chris would know. Chris, if you're watching, run in here and tell us what that was.
Yeah. You're talking mid-90s stuff.
No. This was around when I first started. So maybe back in 2011, around that time. Or what do you call that time period? The 2010s?
It doesn't roll off the tongue
Are
as
we
well
still
as
in
everything before it.
We'd still be in the 2010s.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's terrible.
Anyway, Skype for Business. Who am I? This camera. Skype for Business. It's a communication tool for your office, but it can be used for people outside of your office, depending on your admin settings. And so there's 3 ways of communication with Skype. You can either use the chat feature, which is just instant messaging. So if you've ever had an AOL Instant Messenger,
RIP.
it functions right.
Poor aim.
Yeah, but at least it freed up my screen name. So you can chat to your colleagues, chat in a group chat, right? But you can do more than that. You can do calls. So you can have an audio conference if you want.
Do video calls? And
you can also do video calls. So our company really doesn't take advantage of the video portion. We just do the audio most of the time.
Yeah, we do audio a lot. We also do a lot of screen sharing.
Right.
So you do have the ability to do screen sharing without having to do any audio or video calls in Skype. And you can limit your screen sharing to a certain monitor. If you have multiple monitors, you can share it to all. And that's few things that Teams doesn't do yet that Skype still does, and I think that's probably the biggest reason why it hasn't completely merged yet. Is in Teams, if you wanted somebody to see your screen, you have to do a video call with them, and then you can kind of give access to it, which is a little cumbersome because you don't necessarily need to do an entire video call to show somebody your desktop if they're helping you out with something. So a couple little things are there, but I'm sure it's not too far away.
Right. So here's the chat feature. I'll just chat with. I'm signed in as James Bond, so don't get confused. Well, people probably don't know what my name is. It doesn't matter. And Steve's offline. But if
I get on that. Again, Skype for Business is on your mobile device, and you can definitely sign in there.
So, right. To get the apps on your phone, just go to your mobile device's app store. So Google Play for Android, and then what do they call it? Not iStore. Why am I blanking out?
The App Store.
The App Store. They're
the apps.
The apps. Okay.
They don't bother calling it anything.
Right. So they're all free. They all come. You don't even have to have an Office 365 subscription to download it. But once you get it, it'll ask you to sign into your Office 365 account. So it's all free.
Yeah.
No additional charge for that. One bad thing I have to say about Skype for Business is that it doesn't come with a preloaded contacts list. Everyone who comes into your contacts list, you have to manually put there. So Steve, right? Well, my contacts list is blank because this is a new account. But if I want Steve to show up in my contacts list, I'll have to manually search for him. And get my mouse back here. And so I'll right click on him and I'll add him to my favorites list. So now under my contacts list, I have Steve located here, and all the features that we talked about are available. So I can chat with him. I won't put you through the video call.
The whole under the face video call.
Right, the
Nobody
whole thing.
Likes that.
And I can also share my screen with him. Can you share your screen on the mobile device?
Just give it a shot. Let's see what happens.
No, can you share your screen on the? Probably not.
No, I can't share mine.
Okay.
But I think if you share yours, it may show up.
Okay. So I'll share this monitor that we're on right now.
It would be very interesting.
It also gives you that warning saying, "Hey, you can't do it."
Screen, yeah, it washed away from me.
Oh.
But either way, Skype to Skype outside of a mobile client will allow you to share your desktop the same fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Mobile devices, I do know that if you can load your main work number, like if you're using an actual landline, you can have that forward. So if somebody calls your Skype account, it can forward to your direct line, or vice versa. Somebody calls your work number and you're out of the office, you can have it forward directly to your cell phone via Skype. So it does come in handy when you're away from the office as well. And I mean, Skype is great as is. I'm sure once they integrate the features that everybody wants in Teams, it'll just be Teams.
But for now, there's both. As you can see, there's a new Skype meeting button and there's a new Teams meeting button. So just to show you how Teams is coming into play a lot sooner than everyone thinks.
Oh yeah.
So if you want to set up a Skype meeting, which means, we always got to talk about licensing because some features aren't available for other people.
Well, that's the.
Oh, good. So for this account, we don't have it. So this would be a good one. So this comes with basic, I think, just the business plan.
Okay.
So it doesn't include the audio conferencing, or this account doesn't have the audio conferencing add-on.
Okay.
So if I want to set up a Skype meeting, with my coworkers or even external people, I can set up a Skype meeting, and it includes this link that says join Skype when they get the email. And so they'll get all the features that we just talked about. So of course they're going to be joining it via audio, but they can use the video feature. If it's an external person, don't worry about them having Skype. It'll give them an online instance of Skype. Mm-hmm. So if you're using like WebEx, like the other person doesn't have is that what it's called, WebEx? What's the Cisco thing?
Well, I mean, Cisco.
Or GoToMeeting.
Yeah, I mean, there's GoToMeeting, WebEx. There's a ton of them.
There's a ton of them. So you can cancel those subscriptions because it already comes with your Office 365 subscription. You already have a way to have external people join a conference via audio or via video.
Yeah, and that's just in Skype. That's in Skype only. If you like Stephen was talking about, license based, if you wanted a conference number, like old school Avaya phones, when you'd have a conference bridge with a phone number and it's all physical in an IVR, you could have that all contained in a Skype with the right licenses. So this meeting right there with a properly licensed user would have an actual phone number in there and a PIN that you could send externally to people, and it would be the same way. They could all get on a phone call with each other, and it doesn't have to be through a computer. Use phones. Somebody can pick up the phone, dial the number, and be in your Skype conference bridge. But again, that's additional licensing involved with that. But
yeah, I'll probably have to have Pedro on
to
discuss all the licensing things.
There's a lot, but we know all of them, and we can definitely help you out with your needs. So
yeah. So we're coming to the end of the live stream. So I just wanted to go over, for our current customers, or you're thinking about becoming customers, how do you get support with Protected Trust?
Well, when you sign up as an account holder with us, we call it Trust Care. So it's a particular package of support that comes with the products that you have, and you get in touch with us either calling our number. It's 863-594-1141. There's an 877 number, but I never give that one out.
Really?
Yeah, I feel embarrassed.
877.
Don't even guess, because we don't want anybody.
I thought it was 876.
I have no idea. I always give everyone the local number. It's embarrassing.
Well, at any rate, it's all on the website.
You can email support@protectedtrust.com, and that automatically creates a ticket. You'll get a little bounce back from us, just letting you know that we created a ticket, and you'll be hearing from one of our engineers very shortly. So.
Contact. Here we go. So, so the support contact and the sales contact, that's all there. What is it? 876-1422. Option 2 for support.
Option 2 for support.
Okay.
Yeah, even the 863-594-1141, option 2 for support.
Right. So supports, we'll be happy to answer your questions and to resolve any issues that you may be having. But let's say that you're more of a person who wants to figure it out on your own. We have a university that has, I think I mentioned this once before in the stream, but it's a self-service support, basically. So type in a keyword that you may have about, I don't know. So we'll talk about setting up your mobile device, maybe.
Sure.
We have an article for that, and we try to keep that as updated as possible. So always look for new articles there. You can also take classes on some different applications that you may not be familiar with yet. So we have one on Microsoft Teams and Skype for Business and Planner, which Planner we'll go over in Thursday's webinar. So that's more of the collaboration thing. So we have that. We have the university and, our YouTube channel. So our YouTube channel, we do these live streams every Tuesdays at 2:30 for the getting started, and then Thursdays also at 2:30 for the collaborative working together and how to increase your productivity using Office 365. But we also make weekly videos that focus. They have been focusing on like an individual app, but now we're trying to solve like specific use cases So one of them was I want a file repository that external people can access. So what can you use in Office 365 in order to solve that problem? So that was one video. We're currently working on a different video that involves Flow. I hope to have that released today, but we'll see. And I just wanted to personally thank our clients, because without our clients, we wouldn't be able to provide you with any of this content. And our clients have been a big supporter of us, reaching out and being able to provide them with this information.
Sure.
Anything else you want to add, Steve?
No, I think we covered a good chunk.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in, and I'll see everyone who wants to work together on Thursday.